So guys, Rufai and Ojokwe with others have all reacted to what has been going on in the southeast that appears to be an ethnic cleansing. Armed Fulani herdsmen have been on the rampage in the southeast. One wonders if they have an agenda. Now take a look at this headline and it says Enugu University student killed by herdsmen, only son of widow mother, laid to rest amid tears. This is really terrifying. Take a look.
Residents of several communities in Ondo, Benue, Nasarawa, and Edo states are reeling from deadly attacks by suspected armed herders, sparking widespread outrage and protests. Reports indicate that a total of 30 people were reportedly killed in a series of attacks across the three states, with communities calling for urgent government intervention. There are also reports that Enugu State is grappling with a surge in violent attacks, with several communities witnessing a rise in kidnappings, killings, and sexual violence in recent days. Well, a video showing a group of protesters, mostly women, calling for urgent intervention has made the rounds on social media. Let's take a look.
We are going hungry. They are sleeping with our women. After sleeping with them, they will use a stick under their vigil, which is very bad.
No movement, no transaction, no bike, nobody should go anywhere. Rescue a harmful land. Rescue a harmful land. They are shouting from where go. Most of them are millionaires in their homes, in settlements, but they be chased away. They have chased away. They left their homes. Their house have been burnt. They left their home. Their husbands have been killed. Their sons have been killed. So many groups are coming.
Well, these are videos that we have seen circulating on social media. I've reached out to the Enugu State government to discuss this topic, and we do have our reporter on ground who's going to compile a report on the reported killings. But there are also conversations around whether or not these are sponsored killings, especially in Enugu State. Well, here is a video of some Enugu residents accusing certain individuals referred to as criminal agitators and failed political elements of orchestrating smear campaigns against the Enugu State Governor, Peter Mba.
We are here with solidarity with Governor Peter Mba. For some people to continue to sabotage the effort of the state.
The protest is a solidarity protest. The people of Iyamufu came out in their numbers on solidarity protest. I'm commending Governor Peter Mba for providing security for them. These people here you are seeing are saying that the initial protest by some group of women was a politically and sponsored protest.
Well, as you can see, Jimmy, it does appear they're really in the marketplace and talking about this issue being a sponsored protest. They also say the governor deployed significant security forces, including over 150 soldiers and hundreds of police officers to address the security concerns. But, you know, these unnamed criminal elements have opposed the efforts of the Enugu State government. But I started off also, Rufai, with all of the killings that have been reported in those three states that I mentioned earlier, especially the herders' clashes as well.
The insecurity is fast increasing in Nigeria, and that's why it was very apt you brought this conversation on, because we're just talking to an expert on the matter, and I did ask the question, what if cases are underreported? And I think largely, the problem is they're underreported. So even the 6th position on the terrorism index, we might be way worse than that. And I'll give you some instances. Okay. So this has never made it to the mainstream media. I think I posted this on my page. Somebody said, Uboha is seriously under siege. Killing, raping, kidnapping, and all of that. Uromi Uboha Road has become a no-go area. Daily occurrence
this is in Enugu?
No.
Uboha is where?
This is Eson Southeast in Edo State.
In Edo State, okay.
Enugu, that used to be a peaceful place before. All of a sudden, you're seeing a lot of killings. Look at the SWOT across 3 states. It says 30 people died.
Right.
If you independently verify the number, they might be more than the 30. So there's a massive level of underreporting across board as regards the insecurity situation in the country. The question is, what can be done? Is it the Southeast we are talking about? Daily occurrences, of killings and the likes in parts of the Southeast and many parts of the country. The country is still largely under siege. No matter how much they try as much as possible to paint the narrative that things are getting better, things are not getting better. What I just think is happening, it has been a massive level of underreporting. They are giving kudos to the governor in Enugu State, but the governor cannot do it alone. We need more boots on the ground. We need more intelligence. We need to be able to bring these perpetrators to book. We also need to be able to capture the weapons we have in the hands of non-state actors. There's a massive level of weapon, proliferation in the hands of non-state actors. There's also a massive level of local production of most of these weapons that are being used. So apart from the Kalashnikovs of this world and all of that are imported weapons, there's also massive, industry. The other day they arrested some people out of Jos that they were producing local weapons, and most of this is also being used in all these attacks. So we need to drill down to the system. So it takes an all-of-government approach.
Right.
The government, the state, even the local government, even vigilantes and all of that, because Nigeria is massively under siege. And I also believe strongly that, save for social media, Audrey, cases like this will not make it to mainstream. So also, social media has its own arms, its own downsides, its own harmful effect, but it's also been able to throw light on many things that are happening as disputes, as insecurity in other areas like this.
All right. I know that, there's also protests in Ondo State. Women took to the streets as well. Really quickly.
I just wanted to restate the basic principles, and it is as follows. Every Nigerian
Absolutely.
has the right to life under Section 33 of the 1999 Constitution. In other words, nobody's life should just be terminated unnecessarily, even when that has not been pronounced upon by a court of law on account of having committed a crime. Section 34 of the same Constitution talks about the right to human dignity. People staying in their homes and being attacked either by herders or criminal elements or by terrorists will seem to amount to a violation of these fundamental human rights. And it is the responsibility of government, either at the federal or the local or state level, to ensure that people can sleep peacefully with their 2 eyes closed. In many parts of Nigeria now, people cannot sleep with their 2 eyes closed. The reports you have brought from Edo, from Nasarawa, from Enugu, from other parts, from Ondo State, indicate that people do not feel safe.
Yeah.
Now, so in some of these states, Ondo and Enugu, people have gone out to protest.
Yes.
To say that the government has a duty to save them, to protect them. After all, Section 14, sub 2b of the same 1999 Constitution says that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary responsibility of government. Shall. That is why, it becomes very embarrassing when government says, oh, the global terrorism index says Nigeria is now number 6, but that it is not true. Or analysts say, oh, it's total number. Some of the people that were killed include terrorists too. No, even terrorists, nobody should be killed. Nigeria should be a safe environment for everybody. In fact, there should be no terrorism. There should be no criminality if government were up and doing. Right. These are the basic issues. Absolutely. So the argument that, is some elements conniving, is some elements to sabotage government, that's just solistic argument. But, it's facetious. It is not true.
Well said.
So this is the thing,
Well said.
So we must resist the temptation to always come forward with specious rationalizations for the failure of the state.
Well said. We've had rebuttals from different state governments. Now, Enugu, Ondo, they're all, like you said, trying to say that insecurity is not occurring in their states. But we need more reports, and our reporters are out there on the ground, and we will follow up on this story. May our Nigerians that have departed, may their souls rest in peace. We'll take another story now. The House of Representatives on Tuesday ordered a total shutdown of pornographic websites across Nigeria. The decision was reached during plenary following a motion sponsored by Dalhatu Tafoki of the APC representing Katsina State Tafoki described the move as necessary to protect societal values, stating that such websites promote adultery. Let's take a look at this video before we come back for a discussion.
Concerned deeply that some of the immediate effects of viewing pornographic contents include A. Causing deception in marriage and which may later on affect family life. B. Promoting adultery, prostitution, and many oral expectations that can result in dangerous, promiscuous behavior. C. Leading to addiction, escalation, desensitization, and the acting out sexually by one person. D. Change of attitude toward oneself and his family. Result 2. 1. Urge the Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC) to direct the internet service providers operating in the country to take immediate steps to block all websites that host obscene and pornographic content.
Well, I mean, when they say Nigeria is cruise, that's what we believe, Nigeria is cruise. Banning pornographic websites, a huge discussion at this moment. I don't know how this will pass, because obviously it's bordering on fundamental human rights. Well, the lawmakers also directed the Nigerian Communications Commission to enforce the immediate ban, instructing internet providers to block access under the new directive. I mean, is this what we should be talking about? I mean, there are issues of sexual violence and all of that. We're seeing these sort of reporting. Even just recently, we talked about, those states that have reported sexual violence. And here we have it. Yeah. Our favorite Niger wife.
You know what usually happens with this type of thing is that the law of unintended consequences comes into play, which is that you unintentionally direct people to the black market, those who are involved, because we know there's a huge psychological element when it comes to, those who like to what do I call it, dabble or engage in this type of content. There's a degree of addiction and so forth. What kind of confused me was the rationale around the ban. Several countries do have a ban on porn and pornographic websites. However, usually it's around the fact that it promotes child trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking. There's a huge controversy all globally around the fact that young girls, and even in some cases young boys, are being used to create this content. There's a huge industry, black market industry, around how some of this content is brought together. So I think for me, that's where I would have hoped the focus of the discussion to be, because if it's about adultery and so forth, societal values, everybody's entitled to their own values. Adultery, as Rufai was saying before, adultery has always existed. Even in the Bible, there are cases of adultery. So I don't think porn is causing adultery. Those are other issues that we need to look at.
The original sin.
I know Dr. Bati is going to
give us something colorful.
This is your main topic. Rufai, you were also saying something about whether or not it's right to do that quickly, and then Dr. Bati, you tie in your comment on the issues of whether or not porn will stop adultery, really quickly.
So there are two different things. Adultery is their mindset about cheating. They go ahead and they do anything they want to do. It's not porn that elicits them to do adultery. It is them in their mind. Everything comes from the mind. That's why the Bible used to talk about the mind a lot. So it's their mindset. Porn is a content. Yes, it can aid. When you watch, you can get stimulated. But it is those people that want to do adultery. Adultery that has been since the Bible days. There was no porn site in the Bible days now. But people still went ahead to perpetrate that act. But you see, the confusion here, they also fail to realize, because if their minds is always banned, they forget that that's also an ecosystem and an economy. It is the same Nigeria that said we're going to add prostitution and drug peddling to the GDP very soon. You also forget that it's another economy for some people. In some countries, they even collect taxes from these people that perpetrate this act. Like you said rightly, once it starts to the violation of the child right and things like that, we should clamp down on those ecosystems.
Yes, I mean,
that's a sector. There's a very good friend of mine, Joseph Edgar. He writes a lot about the porn economy. He has taken out time to interview people that even perpetrate this act that is for a non-economic activity. If you don't want to be part of it, just shut yourself out of it. But now saying because it causes adultery, then you're going to ban it. There's some proper people's livelihood you're going to ban.
Very quickly, I mean, I said adultery, prostitution is the original sin, without meaning to offend anybody. But that was the original sin in the Garden of Eden, when Eve, ate the forbidden fruit. But that's no justification. The problem we're dealing with is the problem of pornography. Now, the gentleman who on the floor of the House of Reps says he wants additional laws. His main pitch is that the NCC Act and the NIDA Act should be further amended, and penalties should be prescribed for persons who watch pornography, and for, social media sites that provide pornography. Well, in some other countries of the world, there have been issues about big tech, how big tech can affect the mental health of persons, have impact, psychological and sociological, on human behavior. However, I think that in this country, our problem is not lacking laws. Let's deal with the legal issues first. Chapter 21 of the Criminal Code talks about offenses against public morality. So where there are offenses against public morality, there are provisions, Section 217, Section 231, dealing with all of this, either indecent exposure or indecent practices by persons. So if there is a connection between what you do, either you dress indecently or you run a brothel and all of that, you can be sanctioned under the law, even when the punishment is just about 3 years. So I think our laws are adequate. You have the Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board,
right,
which also, will regulate what you do. But the gentleman saying, and those agreeing with him, that, people who watch pornography, they will be adulterous. I think that stretch is a bit too tenuous. Right. It's a bit illogical. People don't necessarily commit adultery because they are watching pornography. Yes. They don't necessarily have mental health problems because they are watching pornography. What he's recommending is regulation. That's another point, the third point. What is the implication of his recommendation? For freedom of choice,
well, that's the
for freedom of expression.
Yeah.
In America, they will say the First Amendment.
Right.
Okay, so these are also issues. The fourth point, and I will summarize on that, is that out of all the problems in this country disturbing us, high tariffs, bad roads, yes, and all that, one person who had been voted for by Nigerians in his constituency goes to the floor of the House of Reps, and the most intelligent thing that can come out of his brain is to be asking for laws to regulate adultery. No, we expect a higher level of seriousness in the National Assembly. Absolutely. And that's why we are saying that Nigerians have to take more seriously the leadership recruitment process. Right. What kind of people do we vote for and elect to go and speak for us in Parliament? All right. We should not be giving positions in Parliament to clowns who do not know what is important and what is not urgent. All right. Well said, Dr. This kind of legislation cannot be an issue of urgent national importance. They should step it down and focus on more serious business.
Especially from this man who is from Katsina State, the issues of insecurity, sexual violence, and all of that. I mean, this really isn't what we should be focusing on at this point. I actually do agree with you, Dr. Abati. Well, all right. We'll take another story now. The sexual harassment claim alleged by Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, against the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, was presented at the United Nations headquarters in New York on Tuesday. Senator Natasha addressed the Inter-Parliamentary Union, alleging that her 6-month suspension from the Nigerian Senate was a retaliatory one after she filed a sexual harassment complaint against the Senate President. Let's take a look.
5 days ago, on the 6th of March 2025, I was suspended. As a senator, I was suspended illegally because I submitted a petition of sexual harassment against the President of the Nigerian Senate. And for 6 months, I'm not to introduce myself or present myself as a senator locally in Nigeria or internationally. That means I'm here illegally, but I had no other place to go but to come here. and speak to you women, because this is a bigger picture. This is a bigger picture. It depicts the crisis of women political representation. My suspension is not just about me. It's about the systemic exclusion of women from political leadership in Nigeria. This is a clear case of political victimization, punishment for speaking out against impunity, corruption, and gender-based violence. The United Nations Declaration 48104 declares sexual harassment as a form of gender violence. The Senate's actions are an assault on democracy. I was elected by my constituents to represent them, yet a few powerful men have unilaterally decided to silence their voices by suspending me for 6 months. My call for an open and transparent investigation into harassment allegations have been met with hostility instead of accountability. If a female senator can be treated this way in the full view of the world, imagine what ordinary Nigerian women will go through every day in workplaces, in universities, and other aspects of our society.
Well, this video has since gone viral. Well, in response, IPU President Tulia Axin acknowledged Akpoti Uduaghan's concerns and assured a thorough investigation.
The matter that was raised by our colleague from Nigeria, Senator Natasha, and because all of us heard what she said, and it only serves us better if I put a word in what she has said. So I would like to say we have heard her concerns. And having heard her, it would have been an opportunity for all of us to understand more about what she has said. But because we listened only on her side, as an institution, as IPU, we will be taking the concerns that have been raised, not only taking her side, but also giving a chance to listen to the other side, as it is a custom for IPU. And after having listened to the other side, we will take steps as necessary. So I thought it was necessary for us to say a word about it and then be able to take it further.
Well, it's quite refreshing, Dr. Bati, to hear that there will be fair hearing given to this matter that was presented at the United Nations. But before we discuss, I'd like for us to go through a timeline of the incident that occurred and how it happened. Now, if we could just pull that up. First of all, Senator Natasha was replaced as chairman of local content and made chairman of diaspora committee. Then too, there was a gale of defections at Senate that affected sitting arrangement. And then Senator Natasha refused the change of her seat and refused speaking from a non-assigned seat. 5. Senator Natasha stands on Order 10, right of privileges, to counter the order stipulating she can only speak from an assigned seat. And then the Senate began a process of suspension of seats controversy. After that incident, Senator Natasha grants Arise an interview and alleged sexual harassment that happened here on Arise TV. And after that, we saw that Akpabio's wife filed a defamation suit against Senator Natasha. That went viral as well. And then Natasha files a suit restraining the Ethics Committee from investigating her. And then Senator Natasha submitted a petition for sexual harassment at the Senate. That sexual harassment petition was rejected because it was signed by her. Natasha subsequently resubmitted an amended sexual harassment claim, which was accepted at the floor of the Senate. And after that incident, Senator Natasha was suspended by the Senate for misconduct, actually that same day, when she resubmitted her sexual harassment claim. And then Senator Natasha reports the sexual harassment to the IPU, which we have just played, and we have just seen that the IPU is ready to give fair hearing on Senator Natasha's sexual harassment claim and hear from Nigerian Senate and Senator Akpabio. Now, Dr. Abati, this is obviously has been in the news for, several weeks now, almost 2 weeks. And I'd like for you to help us understand what this matter, what is the consequence of this matter that now that it's been presented in the global stage?
Okay, let me just deal with some relevant aspects of it, not the, chronicle. Number one, the Interparliamentary Union, to which, Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan has now presented her case, was founded in 1889. It has 180 members. It has its headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. It was a forum that was initially created as a platform for promoting interparliamentary union, as it says, and promoting democratic governance and sustainable development. It was only in 2002 that it was given an observer status by the United Nations, and it became like, a wing of the United Nations in terms of, monitoring some of those issues that are important to the United Nations. However, the Interparliamentary Union is just a place where, members share experiences, either as individual members or as members of an organized parliament from any part of the world. In other words, some critics will say it's a talk shop. It passes resolutions, but those resolutions are not necessarily binding. But it has a voice. If it issues a statement and it says we have passed this resolution on this particular matter in terms of the experiences that we have shared. What Senator Akpoti has done is to go to the Women's Parliament in the US to say, this is the case that I'm presenting. One part that was not shown was that she started by apologizing to Honorable Kafela Ogbara, yes, representing Kushofe Federal Constituency, who is chairman of the House Committee on Women Affairs, that she was not there to embarrass Nigeria, but just to seek help from the International Parliamentary Union. What help can that IPU offer? Well, somebody suggested that maybe Akpabio should come there and present his own case. He's not under any obligation to go there and present any story, because the IPU is not a court of law. It's not an adjudicatory body. So that's out of it. Number two, Senator Akpoti said not to embarrass Nigeria, but by taking that matter to that open forum, Nigeria will be embarrassed if people choose in that platform to deal with the details of it. Nigeria will definitely look bad. But I think the point that has been made that they would like to hear the other side is the basic principle. When there is an accusation, that before you pass judgment, you must hear from the other side. So Akpabio is at liberty also, perhaps, to write the IPU to say these are the facts of the matter. One of the issues raised has to be about a chairmanship of the local content committee. Now, I've seen some comments there saying that, Senator Natasha Akpoti was guilty of padding budget. Now, that's another dimension that has come up. So this endless back and forth about issues in the Senate and in the House of Reps, what Nigerians are just asking for is that the Constitution of Nigeria is very clear in Section 4, that lawmakers will just focus on making laws for good governance, for order and stability. But what we find most of the time in the Senate and in the House of Reps are distractions. And now, even when this is escalated, the distractions get bigger. Right. But I think that on the other issues that you have raised, we have already expended a lot of saliva on that. Provided pro bono, because sometimes when I use my saliva, you pay for it. But we have expended saliva pro bono on this particular matter. And we are saying that we should focus on serious issues, because that is what will benefit all parties concerned in this matter. Right. All those other issues about sexual harassment, rules of the Senate and all that, The relevant bodies should look at those issues. They should look at those issues. Those are the things, if we're not forgetful, these are the things we have said on this platform. But the purpose of the legislature should be served.
Right. Again, well-rounded conversation. Thank you, Dr. Abati, for your submission. Like we have all agreed on this table, sexual harassment is a serious issue.
Yes.
And that's why the story continues to unfold. Let's head over now to Anambra State, where the state government has clarified the recent ban on open-air gospel preaching by Governor Chukwuma Soludo, stating that the move targets noise pollution, not religious activities. The ban was announced following the arrest and release of a pastor caught preaching in a marketplace, in a viral video recorded at a market in Onitsha. Soludo confronted the preacher, warning that public preaching contravenes state regulations.
You want to preach the word of God, you go to your church. Are you getting me? You are causing pollution. You cannot come to a marketplace and begin to disturb everybody else. Are you getting me? If you want to preach the word of God, you go to a church. The person who wants to come to your church will come to your church. But you don't force everybody. In a marketplace, people have come to trade. It's not a church. So you don't do that. They would have arrested you, contravening the law. Okay? You don't come out and take a space and start preaching. It's noise. You are polluting the place. It's illegal. Okay? Everybody has freedom of worship. You want to worship, we protect everybody. But you don't go to the middle of a market where people are coming to trade and turn it into a church. Otherwise, we'll be charging you for this space. All
right, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, becoming quite controversial. First, it was the ban on traditional medicine. Now we're hearing the ban on, preaching. And he also emphasized that while freedom of religion is protected, it should not infringe on the peace and comfort of others. I mean, they're talking about noise pollution. I don't know, how you feel about that, our favorite Niger wife. But before I come to you, I'd like to take this story, then you can tie both in. 1 second. Okay. We'll take our final story now. Chukwuemeka Ohanemere, the controversial Onitsha-based cleric, better known as Odumeje, has declared his intention to run for president. In a viral video recorded at his church in Anambra State over the weekend, Odumeje said that if he was elected president, he would provide Nigerians with a modern and digital life. Let's take a look.
We need a young leader in this country. And I think I'm coming out. We need a young leader in this country as a president. A digital leader, not old cargoes. Am I sure you're hearing me? I think I will come out. I will come for president. Are you ready for me? Odumeje for the president. Odumeje for the president. Because I know what you need. Amen.
After this man will say we should not call him a comedian. He says it's going to be a quick seconds because we only have a minute left on all of the story. Yes.
As regards Professor Soludo, hope he also knows that his siren that he blows around is noise pollution.
That's noise pollution as well.
Very quickly, your freedom ends where my nose begins.
Absolutely.
So you can't preach the gospel and so forth, but do it. The Bible is about orderliness.
All right.
So guys, you have seen what people in the Southeast are going through in terms of security. The level of insecurity in Nigeria now is something Nigerians can't believe will be happening under a Southern president. Tinubu cannot talk, his hands are tied because he's looking for second term. He doesn't want to say anything that will offend a Northerner. But you can imagine, why is the North a threat to this country, to the unity of this country? Why is it that if somebody should come and speak to the reality on ground, and then tomorrow you say, oh, we are not going to vote him because he criticized us, and now things are going wrong? Tinubu cannot talk because he's scared of the North not voting for him. He doesn't want to offend them so that they don't see something to lay hold on and to say this is why we'll not vote for him. But guess what? It takes courage to be a leader. It takes courage For you to stand up to occasions, it takes courage. You cannot become a leader and every day your people are buying and you are just scared of you not being voted into office come the second term. Why can't you just take some bold steps that Nigerians can appreciate tomorrow? Even if you end up not being the governor, the president of the country, you can just remedy the situation on ground and Nigerians are going to applaud you for that. So you have seen what is happening. It's really so sad that as it stands now, people are left to defend themselves. Nigerians cannot sleep, Nigerians cannot have rest, and nobody is there to come to their rescue to protect them. You go to Anambra State, you see what Soludo outfit is doing, security outfit, what they are doing to the Nigerian, to the Ndi Igbo. Why is it that there's no love among themselves? You need to see what Soludo's security agents are doing. In the north, people will commit all kinds of terrorism and the northerners will say they are pardoning them. They will say they are de-radicalizing them. They will say they are giving them, money to go and start up life. But in the southeast, you see the Igbos, they will want to flog their own. You can never see such a thing happening in the south, in the north. But in the southeast, you see this security outfit that is brought up by Soludo has been, terrorizing people. The same thing with Hope Uzodinma. The one Hope Uzodinma has in Owerri. You need to see what these guys have done. And it's just that we are not even learning from all these things. So guys, you have seen it. This is what we are saying about security. The level of insecurity in Nigeria this time is everybody to your tent. To your tent, O Israel. If you cannot defend yourself, then you stand the chances of being bite. So guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.